Work in progress.
Christine? Go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'd like to announce that all aldermen are present. Let the record show that. If you don't mind, Mr. Stephen Glorioso will give the invocation and Alderman Hinton will lead us in the pledge.
Everybody, please bow your head. May good luck be with you wherever you go. Your blessings outnumber the shamrocks they grow. May your days be many and your troubles be few. May all God's blessings descend upon you. May peace be within you. May your heart be strong. May you find what you're seeking wherever you roam. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before I ask for a motion to accept the agenda, I'd like to just say that item 4C was pulled.
All right, can I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
All right, we got a motion by Alderman Piper.
Second.
Second by Alderman Stennis. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we go straight into agenda public comment. The public is invited to address the board for up to 5 minutes each for a maximum period of 30 minutes only regarding issues listed on this agenda. Do we have anybody from the right side of the room here who would like to address the board? No. Anybody from the center? Come on up.
We're going to talk here.
Right up here to the mic.
Hello. Just on. Eric Graham, lifelong citizen of Ocean Springs and currently living in Ward 6. I want to address this issue of the construction and the moratorium. I am for growth, but I'm for responsible growth. This project is being proposed is going to place 600 homes in the first phase of a multi-phase development. Assuming that these 600 homes are built, we're looking at another 1,000 cars on these already crowded and insufficient roads. There's also flood issues that we mentioned last time. And we say we don't have the $83,000 to do the impact study to find out. Rather than bring you a problem, how about a solution of passing an ordinance that makes the future developers pay for said independent impact study? Because whatever's built, whatever damage or not lack of damage occurs, the taxpayers are going to be the one who clean up the mess that we should have known about beforehand. Number two, you guys have 5 years under the current legal structure to bring me water and sewage, but I'm being taxed as if I already have it. You don't have $83,000 to do an impact study. You certainly don't have money to bring us all water and sewage yet. But yet, we're going to build water and sewage for potentially 600 new homes to taxpayers. Lastly, I was talking with Julie and she told me she has to be quiet on this issue and she wouldn't tell me the details why. But I find it curious, concerning, and unusual that the very person who's supposed to represent Ward 6 is not going to be able to cast a vote on this. The very person that we elected to protect our interests, and we're being silenced. Every single person who lives in this city has a potential conflict. We all benefit or are harmed by whatever is done. Everyone has a potential ethics violation. I just think it's unusual for us not to allow the person who's representing the very ward that's going to be affected is being silenced over an issue that I don't know about. I ask all of you, protect the taxpayers you have. That's your job. It's not to get new people on the rolls. Protect us. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Doc, come on.
Good evening, my name is Albert Diaz, member of Ward 6. I found out shortly ago that my representative, who I voted for and wanted to represent me, who knows my area better than anybody else on this board, is not going to be allowed to vote because of conflict. I know some of the members here have businesses that will benefit from this new project that's going in. I do know that he mentioned 600 houses. I think it's going to be a lot more than that from the information I'm getting from here and there. Where is the money going to come from to support that infrastructure, that traffic pattern? We have brought up this issue of flooding. We have problems already. I still have not seen any studies on this flooding problem. I should ask the attorney right now, when our properties start to flood, who do we start suing? This board is giving the permission to build without the studies. We haven't seen any studies. If you have one, let us know. Let us look at it. Do we start with you? You're the one giving permission to build this fiasco that may flood us. So do we start suing there? Do we sue the builder, the developer, the county? Where is the money going to come from? If I sue you, I'm suing my own wallet. Where do you get the money to pay for the suit? Comes out of my pocket, comes out of these people's pocket. We all are responsible. You are responsible. We are responsible for being here to inform you of how we feel. The idea of not letting somebody who knows our problem, I think better than the rest of you all, is not being allowed to speak among you. That is my representative. That is the person I voted for. I know she doesn't have the money to pay if I decide to sue the board. I don't think any of you all have. He's the one that's going to make money. The attorney's always making money. We're the ones that are going to suffer. Got 2 minutes. We're the ones that's going to have to figure out how our houses are going to stay dry. You go and look. You go down to Pasteur. Look at the plots. It's a flood area. It's in a color. It floods. It's wetlands. You can't do anything with wetlands unless you get approval and make mitigations and all this stuff. Has that been done by anybody? Probably when this whole thing comes to the end, when it falls down on our faces, I won't be here. I'm at the age where hopefully y'all come tell me goodbye. But it's going to be my children, my grandchildren, your grandchildren, that's going to suffer. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Anybody else from the Senate room?
Good evening, James, Ward 5. The Bible I read, it says the love of money is the root of all evil. One of the key things here, do re mi fa sol la mi la. Money, 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 money. The key thing is that if we don't have studies to go back in and understand what it is that really needs to be done, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're setting ourselves up for failure. 600 homes times 2, that's 1,200 more vehicles up and down the highways. Traffic studies. Talk about flooding. If you have never lived in an area that's flooded, one of the key things that's been on the news lately, just look what's happened over in New Orleans. Water main break, streets flooded. Who's going to pay for it? Where is the money going to come from to go back in and have the police department and the fire department up to date with the necessary personnel to come back in and patrol these areas. That's a key thing to think about. We got three things we're looking at. Where am I going, and how am I going to get there? You all were elected as the new board to go back in and right the ship because you knew what happened in the past. Don't let the past repeat itself. That's very important. Hindsight is better than foresight any day. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. We don't want to be in a shoulda, coulda, woulda situation. We want to make definitely sure that we make the correct decisions that's going to affect all of the citizens of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Prayer is the key, and faith unlocks the door with me. I seek God's guidance in any and everything that I do, and I am thankful to God that hopefully on the 7th of May of this year, He will bless me to see 76 years on this earth. Of that, my family came here in 1956, and I've seen where Ocean Springs has come from to where Ocean Springs is right now. A lot of mistakes have been done across the years, but we're supposed to learn by the mistakes that were made. Don't put the cart before the horse. Thank you so very kind. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address? Come on up.
Brian Rose, Ward 1. I would like to speak about the same thing that these gentlemen spoke about, and they made a good point. There's not a single person on this board that has the experience to say whether or not these building on wetlands is going to cause a problem for residents of Ward 6. And a lot of people talked about Alderman Messenger not being able to vote tonight. Well, there isn't a single person in this room that can tell her she cannot vote tonight. Not one person, not the lawyer, not the mayor, not any of the other aldermen. She can vote tonight if she chooses to do so. Just because the developers filed a lawsuit to knock her out of the game, make a 3-3 vote, and have our mayor be the deciding vote, doesn't mean they have to win. Ms. Messenger, you have a decision to make. Everybody here has some sort of conflict in one way or another with votes that they vote on all the time. You can stay in this room and vote tonight. And I just want to let you know that. There isn't a single person here that can tell you no. And afterwards, they can say, oh, she made an ethical violation. Well, what's that going to get? They're going to say, don't do it again. But you can vote tonight. And there's a lot of people that are counting on you to do so. So I urge you to stay in the room and vote tonight.
Anybody else like? Come on up.
Yeah, my name is Brian Harvey, 528 Jackson Avenue, Ocean Springs. My comments really aren't about the development that's taking place that I'm assuming most of the folks are here about. I wanted to talk about the moratorium, the general moratoriums that y'all are looking to put in place. I think that's been going on now for about 3.5, 4 years for the general moratorium on apartments. And I would like to make a suggestion. You know, these, and I think it's probably prudent for the current development as well. You know, these infrastructure issues should be looked at on a case-by-case situation. You know, 4 years ago when the apartment moratoriums went in place, they were talking about infrastructure. You know, we need to have an infrastructure study. We need to look at our schools. We need to look at this. We need to look at that. You know, none of those things took place because it costs a lot of money to look at the infrastructure for the entire footprint of Ocean Springs, right? So if we're looking at these infrastructure projects on a case-by-case basis, as somebody's willing to put in a development, they're looking to spend $30 million on a development, well, that's the time where you spend the money on looking at the infrastructure for that specific project and see if it makes sense or not. If it makes sense, great, you go forward. If it doesn't make sense, well, this is what needs to take place, and maybe that's a partnership with the development or whoever the case may be. But these general moratoriums hurt the property values of the people that own those commercial properties, right? So that's really what I want to talk about. It's just we need to be not only looking out for, well, for every citizen, everybody that lives here. You know, that hurts my property rights when you put a general moratorium in place for 4 years against apartments. I can't sell my commercial property to somebody that wants to build apartments. Right? So that's it in a nutshell. I think y'all can get the rest of that, but, apartments do a lot of good for lower income families. When I first got married, I lived in an apartment. When I went to college, I lived in an apartment. There's a lot of low income people that live in that work in Ocean Springs can't afford to live here. That's the thing, when my kids grow up and they leave and, they're gonna go live someplace else because they can't afford to live in Ocean Springs. So it's important that, the families that grow up here graduate from those apartments to houses and live here and put down their roots. So, when we look at these general moratoriums that we're looking at, I think we need to be specific on a per project basis.
Thank you. Have anybody else like to address the board? If not, we'll move forward to old business. We have the appointment of the Civil Service Commissioner, Mindy.
Yes.
Or-
I'll go. I have a motion.
Okay.
We're good. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Tristan Armour to serve on the Civil Service Commission to fill the unexpired term of a vacated seat, with said term to expire July 31st, 2026, consistent with Mississippi Code 2131.5.
I second.
We got a motion by Ms. Piper, second by Mr. Hinton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mr. Tristan Armour is appointed to the Civil Service Commission. All right, our next item on the agenda is discussion over the draft resolution establishing a temporary moratorium on certain residential development application.
Okay.
We,
I'd like to make a motion to approve it would be to approve the resolution of the temporary and targeted 9-month moratorium on certain high-impact residential development applications in order to allow completion of critical infrastructure, planning, and regulatory updates necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of our city.
So I'd like to make a statement, if I could, please.
Just wait.
Well, we got a motion by Alderman Piper, second by Alderman Tillis. Now we get discussion. Go ahead.
So I've been advised by the city attorney, the Ethics Commission, and personal attorney as well, whom I also spoke with someone at the Ethics Commission, myself, to recuse myself from voting on the moratorium due to pending litigation that was filed on Friday by a developer against my father-in-law and husband regarding a lot line disagreement involving a subdivision and my father-in-law's property. So just for transparency, I wanted to let my constituents know why I've been advised to not participate in this. And yes, so I will recuse myself. Prior to this meeting, I also spoke with the city attorney about concerns regarding recusal of another member. And I'm hoping that that I see the ethical decision made in that regard. Regarding a conversation with another alderman where a statement was made that they could not support this moratorium because it would affect their business. I don't think it's ethical for me to not disclose that. I spoke with the Ethics Commission today regarding that as well, and they felt that that was something that was reportable. So I'm hoping that alderman does the right thing and recuses themselves.
Good. You. Leaving the room.
Mr. Harris, you did convey my sentiments.
Go ahead and have the conversation.
Thank you.
All right. right, so we do have discussion on the draft resolution. And I know you had,
Yeah, under section 3, the temporary moratorium shall not apply to the following developments for which submission of applicants have been received by the city prior to the effective date of this resolution. I think it needs to exclude the inclusion regardless of the phase of the permitting within section 3, so that takes that out. I think there were some questions I asked Mr. Harris about to kind of clarify that also.
Specifically, are you talking about 3F?
Yes.
And why do you think that needs to come out? Or what should it say?
It just needs to come out there. It basically is if a permit is permitted on the application project, it doesn't need to have the phase of the permitting is how I kind of read it. And I think Mr. Harris?
Yeah, it is kind of ambiguous the way it reads.
I would ask David since he,
Mr. Hinder, what you're saying on section 3, and I'm reading it, section 3 says, "This temporary moratorium shall not apply to the following developments for which submission of applications have been received by the city prior to the effective date of this resolution." So I guess my question is it the intent, I guess for y'all to discuss, would it be the intent of the board that the moratorium not affect these A through Fs regardless of the phase in which they are, in which applications have been applied for? Like, the way it reads right now, I could see where a single-family home, if somebody owns a single lot and they're gonna build one home, if this moratorium could affect them if their application wasn't received prior to the effective date. Do you want me to work on that language so that those specific projects are excluded? I'm asking a question, is what you want me to, what you
I feel like it's already excluded because it says it shall not apply to.
But then it says prior to the effective date of the resolution, so after the resolution is effective, is it your intent to affect these? It was my understanding that it was not the intent for these A through Fs to be affected.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so then we may need to clean that language up to just say.
That's all I'm really.
So what would be suggested?
The temporary moratorium shall not apply to the following developments, A through F,
Take out that for which,
for which submission of applications has been received by the city prior to the effective date of the resolution.
leaving F in place?
Yeah, it leaves, it'd be, right? Is that what you
Okay.
want? A, B, C, D, E, and F?
Right.
Yeah. I think it just cleans it up a little bit.
There is a typo I found while we're on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph of whereas. Moratorium period to determine, not determined.
Which
Second.
whereas?
The 5th paragraph of whereas.
Fifth whereas.
During the moratorium period to, it should be determined whether development patterns.
Oh, I see. During the moratorium period to determine, not determined.
Yes.
That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I got it.
all right, any other discussion? Or additions or deletions?
I guess I could make the motion based on approving with these revisions.
Amended.
Based on the,
Retract your second and then just do a whole new motion.
David, retract or do I amend my motion?
I would amend the motion.
So I will amend the motion to include the clerical error of determined to determine. And in section 3, after following development, we will strike for which submission of applications has been received by the city prior to the effective date of this resolution will now be stricken. A through F stays intact of section 3.
And that's for publication for the public hearings set for April the 7th, is that right?
Is that right? That's the next step.
Yeah, right.
Correct. Thank you.
I do have one more comment I'd like to put on record. You know, before considering a moratorium, we should have object data demonstrating a clear public need, such as infrastructure studies, planning analysis, and impact reports. You know, without having a documented finding, a moratorium could expose the city to many challenges. And this is something that, you know, I feel putting the cart way before the horse. I've asked for impact studies to be done in the community, to have them looked at. We need to have good data to be able to support a moratorium, and that is my feeling.
How long does it take to complete those kinds of impact studies?
It takes quite a while and also costs a lot of money. Dr. Graham had mentioned in his statement that $83,000 is the reason we weren't doing it. No, that's not the case. That was just 1/4 of the city that does not even touch what section we're talking about with this development. So it would have to be budgeted, and it does take some time, but
Okay, if I
that
could,
was a capacity study.
I've been with something here, just a planner's perspective. In planning, you take a 30,000-foot view all the time. You look at everything that way. I don't believe a capacity study is something that has to happen to put a moratorium in place. But what does have to happen is when we put this moratorium in place, we actively accomplish tasks and goals that are set out in this moratorium. And if we're not, then we don't have justification to renew it. We have paid for studies in the past that collect dust. That's money we've spent. We need to spend time on those studies and see what they say. We have a UDC committee that is currently under review of things. We have a lot of moving parts that are all, to me, a clear justification for a moratorium. This is not about a particular project. This is called pro-planning. And until we can take a look at the things we already have in front of us, we're never going to be able to identify where a capacity study may need to occur. That's just the order of how you do these things.
As the projects come to you.
That's what I think.
That's the
Not
area
while we
you-
have identifiable issues that we're still working through.
Well,
It's a case-by-case
Really not.
situation.
It's the betterment of the city.
As far as our studies that we have on hand, they are working through them, drainage studies, infrastructure with sewer and water. You know, we've addressed quite a bit in the last few years. And there's nothing that points to a need to completely shut down.
This isn't a complete shutdown.
Well.
I would caution using that language.
No, it's not complete, but it shuts down quite a bit.
And it's, I
And I
think,
don't-
very well justified.
And I don't think just a across-the-board approach is the way to go. But anyway, anybody else have any
Yeah,
other?
I have something.
Okay.
So I just want to be real clear, we're not shutting down the city. We're just putting a pause for 9 months for 3 homes or more. I
Correct.
said it last meeting, the area that we're focusing on is Ward 6 and some of Ward 1. We all know there's flooding problems out there. You go on the other side of Riley Road and drive down one of those roads when it's a heavy rain, I've seen 2 foot, 2.5 foot of water on the road. So there are wetlands out there, drainage problems, going to create more traffic. All we're asking for is a 9-month pause. It's not really going to affect anybody within that's doing heavy into construction. It's developers out there that we're asking for a slowdown. In 9 months, everything's back up and going. So that's my take on it.
The wetlands, we do not have control over.
I understand that, but they're wetlands that they want to build
Those are
on.
wetlands. And we won't build, I mean, if they're allowed through the Corps, that's through the Corps. That's not through us.
I'm just saying that there's wetlands out there that they'll be building on and cause more flooding problems.
All right. Anybody else? Rob, you have anything?
Yeah, actually I do.
I'm about to make a motion that's probably gonna die.
We've got one.
I know we got one on the table, but I'm about to make another one. It'll probably die for lack of a second. But it's obvious that these people have no interest in being in the city, no interest in the benefits of being in the city. So I'm fixing to make a motion that the city attorney draft up a letter of unincorporation of a certain area of Ward 6. And a map to be determined at a later date.
I'm gonna pipe in that I think that's an unfair motion, given our Ward
I
6
don't-
rep is out the room.
Okay, I'll pull the motion, I'll do it in Alderman's form. How about that?
So we have a motion
Let's
already on
address
the
the
table.
motion on
I'll
the,
pull that one,
So
but I will make that motion in Alderman's form.
let's address this one.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
But that's the best solution to this problem, right here.
We got a motion and a second. We'll take it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Nay.
Yeah, that means everybody knows my stance. I'm not in favor of a moratorium. I think you have to take these at a case-by-case basis, and I'll vote nay. Motion fails, 4-3. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything to pull from the consent agenda? If not, do we have a motion to approve the consent?
So moved.
Got a motion by Alderman Stennis, second by Alderman Wade. All in favor?
Aye. All right.
Opposed? And we go to department reports. We got the docket of claims. Does anyone have any questions on the docket of claims? If not, is there a motion to approve the docket of claims? All expenditures are appropriate and authorized by law, and spread the summary on the minute.
So moved.
Got a motion by Alderman Hinton,
Second.
second by Alderman Wade. All in favor?
All right.
All right, we got, does anyone have any questions about the sewer adjustment? If not, do we have a motion to authorize the water and sewer, the sewer adjustments on the water account?
So moved.
Got a motion by Alderman Stennis. Second by Alderman Wade. All in favor?
All right.
All right. City clerk with the budget amendments.
All right, I'm presenting the second quarter budget amendment, and up front, I just want to make a comment that we had a sit-down with every single department and took kind of a mid-year review of everyone's budget. I have no concerns about anybody overspending. We're doing really well. We're about halfway through the year, and pretty much the accounts are about halfway spent, but there are a few areas that we needed to adjust just to kind of keep the city going. That's what you have in front of you here. They're in categories such as price increases, some new ads, and just some adjustments and enhancements. Of note, just a couple to call out. We did have to put the money in for the board-approved purchase of Dallas Street lighting. With that, it looks like we're going to be able to receive up to an $8,000 energy rebate, so money back to the city for that. Positive. One of the new ads includes a water pump for Public Works. With some of the water breakages around, Alan's gonna need another pump. He has to do some other repair parts too, but he has money in his budget for it. This is an additional item. If you look at the document, you can see we did have to put an increase in our budgeted revenue for donations received for some of our holiday festivals, Christmas, etc. And that just about covers the increased cost of the lights this year, because that was kind of expensive this year with lights. We're adding safety barriers for the police department for the Spring Arts Festival, so that's a new ad. Those came in handy so far when we used them in the past, and they want to use them again. And then you're going to see some Parks Department enhancements. These are from the 2% food and beverage tax money, such as limestone, rubber mulch, and some fence repairs, and things that the Parks Department, Stephen, needs to kind of get things going for the spring and summer, so that's it.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the second quarter fiscal year 2026 budget amendment as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Wade,
I'll second.
second by Alderman Pfeiffer. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, now we move on to general public comment. Anyone like to address the board for up to 5 minutes? Please announce your name and the ward you live in. Cynthia?
Hey everyone, I'm Cynthia Sutton with the Ocean Springs Chamber Main Street, and I just wanted to come up here and remind everybody to mark your calendars for March 28th and 29th for the Spring Arts Festival in downtown. We're going to have over 250 artist, craft, and food vendors in the downtown footprint, so it's really grown. We're excited about that. And also to tell everybody that with that coming up with springtime and Spring Arts Festival, we've been sprucing up around town. We've been working with Public Works to get some sprucing up around town, as well as some new banners in downtown. Thank you, Mayor Bobby Cox, for working with us and allowing us to add some color back into downtown with the downtown banner poles. You'll see some green springtime banners, and we'll have some more coming up, and also on Highway 90. So we're really excited about that. Just wanted to tell everybody to look for the color and the cheer and the happiness that's coming up with spring and the Spring Arts Festival. So mark those on your calendar, and thank you, Mayor and Public Works.
Thank you.
Also, sorry. I also wanted to mention that our Tourism Bureau is working with American Cruise Lines. So we have American Cruise Lines here. Their last excursion to Ocean Springs for shopping, Walter Anderson Museum, Fort Marpole, and some fun things is on Monday. But the thing that I wanted to also say is that it was booked for just March, but it's so popular that they have literally added November and December dates to bring that cruise ship back to the coast and with excursions to Ocean Springs.
Awesome. And hopefully we'll land a temporary spot for the Peter Anderson with the Amtrak.
Still working.
All right. Looking forward to next weekend. Doc?
Bill Moore, Ward 2. I hope I don't get upset. I think we all know that at a state level and a national level, politics is chaotic, and I'm not super happy with the level of ethical activity when I look across our nation. So I just wanted to thank Julie Messenger for being very considerate and thoughtful about what she did tonight. I think it's always easy to think about ethics and things and decide. You can find excuses to work your way around ethics, but it takes a real, I think, a leader to go through the thought process and actually follow through with what you did tonight. So you reached out to all the right people, and I think if you're going to ignore legal advice and ethical advice, it undermines everything that our, system of representative government is about. And so, thank you very much. I haven't waded into the details of this particular, the voting and decision you're making, but I can say that I very much appreciate your decision to go through the steps you did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. Anybody else like to address the board? Mr. James?
James Lewis, Ward 5. I want to share something with you. A lot of you may not even know this. ICE has been on the Mississippi Gulf Coast Specifically, they did a raid at a service station in Biloxi. That didn't hit the news, because they didn't want it to hit the news. Key thing here is that we do have sleeper cells in these United States. Now I'm putting my Sergeant Major hat back on, because I have been in several briefings over my 30 years of military service. We must be vigilant, we must be attentive, and we must not be lackadaisical as far as what's going on with the war in Iran. Don't go to sleep at the wheel. Leadership, when you're in leadership positions, sometimes it's very hard when you're in a leadership position, when you put that leadership hat on. And there are going to be some decisions that you are going to have to make for the better good of the citizens of Ocean Springs, Mississippi, because that is what you were elected to do. Key things here is that sleeper cells are on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Churches have to be vigilant. I don't know if some of you remember what happened in South Carolina, when a young man came up there, sat down with the church member, and they were having Bible study, prayed with them, ate with them, and then all of a sudden 10 people were killed. We got to stay on the wall. We cannot go back in and go to sleep at the wheel at this particular time in the history of this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. James. Anybody else want to address the board? Mr. Ron?
Ward 4, Post Ron, need my address. I just wanted to talk about the school board situation. Testing. But I'm speaking for myself now, I can't speak for the school board, about the rotation. First of all, we're not compensated. Everybody's volunteer at the time. We put just as much time as you do. And there's no skin in the game. I do believe in competitive elections, and I do believe in competitive appointments. If candidate A wins top, we're talking about the children. Every school board move out there would be gladly to move forward. But the rotation is very important. Ms. Karen said that, made a comment about adjustment. We have to readjust every 2 years and sometimes every 1 year. Y'all started July 15th. Y'all have 4 years to adjust to each other, which I think y'all doing a fine job. But the school board is important that we rotate one member out every year. That experience is so valuable to pass on to the next fellow. That's all I got to say, and I appreciate the hard work that y'all do.
Thank you, Cody. Anybody else like to address the board?
I just have something that I don't quite understand. My name is Dee Whitman. I live in Ward 2, and the question that I have isn't to have anything to do with Ward 2. But I did notice from tonight's minutes that there is a ward that is giving money to subdivisions. My daughter lives in one, where they have an HOA. That means every person that lives there has to pay money every month to support things like cutting the grass around the sign or keeping the sign up. So why would the city be giving them $1,000 when only people who live there, and there are hundreds of them, are having to pay money every month for the same thing?
Yeah, I believe that's for the flower beds in the city right away in front of the subdivision is what they're giving that for, if I'm not mistaken. That's exactly what.
The people are paying for.
Well, they do the rest of the subdivision probably, but that's what that is being given for. Yes, sir.
Brian Rose, Ward 1. Just to clarify, I wasn't saying anything negative about your decision that you made tonight. The real unethical thing is what they're doing to your family. And on that note, let's talk about something else a little bit ethical. I was surprised tonight that the MDA grant for the parking garage was not on the agenda, considering it's made a lot of news this week, and the report from Chad White's office pretty much clarified to the city that if you don't sign a lease agreement by June 30th, you're gonna claw back $8 million from the city, and this $8 million went to a private company. So the city never got this money, a private company did, and yet you're on the hook for it, you're in a bad situation. And that's what I want to talk about, how you got into this situation, because I don't think it's your fault. And I don't think it's the board before you's fault either. And I want to kind of go through a timeline with you for some of you that don't know what the history of this is. Back in 2019, the board did approve a resolution allowing the city to apply for GCRF grant funding tied to the parking garage. The application was submitted to the state, and that application made very clear. It wasn't a suggestion, it wasn't marketing language or sales pitch. It said on page 9, the city of Ocean Springs will be the owner of the proposed parking garage. That's not ambiguous. And then on page 3, it went further and said OHOS Land LLC has entered into an agreement to transfer ownership of the parking garage and the amenities to the city upon completion of construction. It says an agreement already existed at the time of the application. That's not a sales pitch. That's a factual statement. So I did what any curious citizen might do. I did a public records request for that agreement that was mentioned. I submitted a public records request asking for that very document, and the city responded and sent me this, an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that said that the city might enter into a lease agreement, long-term lease agreement. But here's the thing, the Gulf Coast Restorations Fund request, the application was done in 2019, and it made reference to a document saying that you're getting ownership. The response when I asked for that agreement is an MOU from 2 years later. This was signed in 2021. It didn't exist back then. So where is that agreement that says that the city will get ownership of the garage? Doesn't seem to exist. I'd like for some of you to at least investigate and find out where that is. So we now have a problem. We have the agreement, this mystery agreement that appeared in the application. Now fast forward to 2023 and 2024, Mayor Holloway signed the formal grant agreement with the Mississippi Development Authority, MDA. And those agreements included certifications that said that the application that was submitted in 2019 was true and correct the day that it was submitted to them and the day that you're signing this agreement. So not just in 2019, but also true that day. And remember, it said you will own the garage. So here's the issue. We know that application's claim was probably false. Some chalk it up as sales pitch, that the city would own the garage. Yet the certifications were still signed. And those agreements are what are creating this deadline that you have today, that you have until June 30th to sign a lease or face a potential clawback of $8 million for money the city never received. And we're having trouble finding $83,000 for a study in Ward 6. So the basic question is, did this board ever authorize Mayor Holloway to sign that grant agreement? I have searched through all the archives, all the minutes, looking for a grant authorization authorizing Mayor Holloway to sign these two grant authorizations in 2023 and 2024. I've even done a public records request that I'm waiting to hear back from. But my preliminary search, I couldn't find anything, and I sleep 2 hours a night, so I don't have much to do at night. So I've read just about every piece of minutes available on the archives, and I can't find it anywhere. I've done searches on the website, it doesn't seem to exist. And if this board did not authorize him to sign it, are you really on the hook for it? I guess that's going to be a question for your city attorney. But let's say that it does come up and they do find it magically somewhere and just didn't find its way to the minutes. Putting all that aside, the lease agreement that is on your desks right now is problematic. And the reason is because you are the subordinates of a lien that is on that garage. They took mortgages out on that garage. The state reimbursed them money after they built it.
Wrap it up, time's up.
Okay, so what I would ask you to do is not sign a 99-year lease for $1 because you are the subordinates of it. That means if they decide, hey, it's not worth my time or money to continue paying this mortgage for a piece of property that I can't sell and that I can't do anything with, so I'll just let the bank foreclose on it, that means your lease, your 99-year lease with the city, with that garage is over. And that's
good.
That's a problem. So I think that you all should be asking the questions. You know, did the mayor have authorization to sign this in the first place? And is this lease worth even signing?
Anybody else like to address the board? Nope. If not, we'll move on to the next. We got the mayors and aldermen forum. Alderman Tillis.
I got to thinking about the restrooms that we need for important events throughout the city. And I know, Karen, you had brought it up. And Lori, I'm going to speak to you about it. What about the idea that if we combine with some of the other cities, and everybody had one of these portable restrooms and we could all use them? In other words, let's just say there's 5 or 6 of them located along the coast. And then we had these events where we need them, that we all shared these rooms, because you don't always need them. Sometimes you might only need them 5 or 6 times a year.
You're talking about sharing ownership of it?
Well, not necessarily ownership, but sharing them, where we, let's just say Bay St. Louis needed one for an event and we're not using ours, and then we could either transport it over there or they could come by and pick it up. So, because we're short on restrooms. How many times do we go to events and we can't find a restroom? And we do so many different events throughout the coast here that it seems like there's a need for that. So, I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Maybe we can, Lori, if you could maybe do some research on that, or maybe we could put something together like that. So that's just an idea I had. Maybe something we could take and run with it. So that's all I have.
I want to say thanks to Public Works. After the St. Patrick's Day Parade, I had a visitor here from out of the country, and she was totally appalled that the place would be cleaned up the next day, because she was at that parade and she thought, wow, what a mess. And we were riding by and she says, it's gone. What happened to it? I said, gotta have a Public Works like we do.
We had a lot of good help.
So, a little bit on what Mr. Rose touched on, the parking garage. I would like to see a work session or something so that we could talk a little bit more about it. We can't get together, to talk about it. But a nice work session to go through some of the issues that we've got to deal with, to make an intelligent vote on that. I struggle with the fact that we don't own that garage and that we're leasing it, because I think we should be leasing it to them and own it. But we can't do anything right now. Our hands are tied with it being used for collateral. So I would like to see us having a nice work session and talk about some of those issues.
I'd be in favor of that. I think it would go a long way, and we wouldn't necessarily be waiting until June, which I don't want to be in a position where it's a last minute.
Same here. I don't want the last minute pressure of, oh, you have to vote on it or else, it's going to cost you $8 million. I would like a little more information and be able to make a real intelligent vote on it.
That's a good idea. We could get somebody from the state down here to answer some of our questions.
I'm done.
All right, Ms. Wade.
I don't really have anything, but I would like to thank Public Works, the Police Department, Biloxi, Sheriff's Department. I think I saw Goat Shake Police that all come together to help with the parade. So it was a well Good job by all. That's it.
Ms. Pfeiffer?
All right, let's see, in the fall, I believe, we had discussed the, MOU needing to be in place for use of the boat launch at the lab. And now we're getting at the height of boating season. Where are we?
They are drafting it as we speak. There was a discussion Monday of this week.
Good, good.
They've already,
We'll make a lot of.
they've already
notes
met
there,
with
yeah.
the attorneys, they've got it coming.
Okay. In February, we were having a little discussion about putting together a list of funding requests, and that was gonna be emailed to the board to review, and we haven't received that yet. Is there a timeline there?
You were doing, say that again, I'm sorry. I was
In
like,
February, we had discussion during a meeting of a proposed list with funding requests. And I believe it was Sarah mentioned that she would be compiling that and getting it to all the Aldermen.
I think Haley sent.
Carolyn? Carolyn.
Didn't you send all that back from, that Haley had with the request?
I haven't seen a breakdown.
Lori, you sent an email on that breakdown on her report?
It wasn't, it was like what's happening at Jackson stuff, not specific to.
I think you asked me to send that out.
Okay.
So we can get that
Okay.
at some time.
I
Email to us,
thought,
please.
I thought y'all got that 2 weeks ago, but
I have not seen it. If anyone else saw it? No? Okay. I asked you about Covington Engineering. You said they're uploading MDEQ data.
they're waiting on the last numbers to be put in. They had not received those yet. They're not in the portal for them to pull. So as soon as they are put in, then they said they will be pulling that and bringing us the final.
And that's for the testing around outside of LICA, for anybody that doesn't know. And then lastly, Sarah, if you have a CSX contact with the railroad, could you send that to me, please? If you don't,
What?
just a local person to speak with.
There's nobody local.
I don't have anybody.
Any numbers?
But well,
I'm
based
looking for any.
It
I
depends.
will answer the phone.
So the reason I'm asking is there's inspectors I have numbers for, or there's permitting I have numbers for.
I just want to start a conversation number.
I'll send you that.
Thank you. And that was all I had. Thank you.
All right, Alderman Black.
All right, like I said earlier, and I want to include Julie on this, I kind of told her what I was planning on doing. I would like to make a motion to have Mr. Harris start a resolution of unincorporating areas of Ward 6. And I would be willing to sit down with Julie and work on a map to show what we were to take out, if she's willing to do that. But that's my motion. It may die for lack of a second, but that's where I'm at. That's my motion.
I'll second for conversation.
All right, got a motion by Alderman Blackman, a second by Ms. Pfeiffer. Discussion?
So I would ask what the motivation is in that?
It's very clear that there's issues that way, that people don't want to be in the city. Probably should have been looked at on the front end a little hard. But, yeah, I think to alleviate these issues, that's the path I'd like to go down at this point.
I don't think it would be fair for me to make a determination on something of that magnitude today without touching base with my constituents. I'm just one person out of hundreds. It's not all about me. I don't feel like I can properly make that decision without consulting with what the majority would want. I think it would be worthwhile to table and see what my people think. I'm supposed to be their voice. I'm not the voice. I'm their voice.
Rob, how much are you looking at? I mean,
I don't know. I really would like to sit down and look at a map and see what makes sense.
And to be
Yeah.
frank, I mean, I don't know how to be any other way. I can't help but wonder if this is an attempt to silence me.
Not at all,
But,
not at all. I want to work with you on this because I feel like you represent those people and they don't want to be in the city. it's apparent now to me, after hearing them come in here week after week with complaints, you know, they want to build in floodways, which I'm totally against as a former floodplain manager. That's just something you don't do. You don't put yourself in harm's way or structures that are gonna cause harm to other structures when they get flooded and knocked down. You know, they don't want any new construction around them. They don't want any of the benefits that comes from being in a city, it doesn't sound like. So I think that's something to look at. If you want me to table it, I'll table it and we'll talk about it on a later date, but I think that's part of the conversation. And I don't want to put you on the spot. Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean, it's just like, that's why I kind of forewarned you, hey, this is what I'm fixing to do. And, but I think it's something we need to look at. Because I've done my homework, I've done the research, it's not hard to unincorporate. It's just a reverse process of what we did to incorporate. And it starts with a resolution, so.
Ooh, that seems like a major argument. You got all these people went out there and bought this land before they got incorporated, now they think they have city land.
I mean, I don't know if a lot of their arguments were, we hate now being in the city versus
Pretty much is what it is.
we're stripping wetlands and we're leading to possible increase in flooding of new homes and current homes, and a gap in hooking up to sewer services and a lot of uncertainties that probably lead more to frustrations and concern than, I don't think it's a blanketed, we didn't want to be incorporated by everyone. That's my take on it.
I think the magnitude of government overreach and the rules and regulations, county versus city, is a stark difference and has been quite an adjustment for a lot of people. I think increased costs of many things without, you know, all that many tangible benefits is a little hard to stomach. I'm sure there are people that are happy with that, with the annexation. That was not, in fairness, the majority I have talked to was a very small amount. But again, I don't feel it would be fair to my constituents to make a decision that hefty without consulting with them.
I'll withdraw the motion for tonight. To be reconsidered at a later date with your feedback, and your people's feedback, because I think it's worth talking about. I really do.
All right, motion withdraw. You got anything else?
I'm good.
All right, Alderman Messenger.
I was just touching base, Alan, what are we looking at for trash and stuff? I had a constituent reach out, you know, regarding trash on OS Road and 57, and I know it's a lot of space to cover trash-wise, and it seems to be dispersed evenly in the grass there.
One day last week, I had a couple people out there that picked up 27 garbage bags.
I believe it, and it's spread out
There's
well.
still a lot out there, but, I mean, whenever we got time, I send a couple more people out and let them do work on it some more.
I appreciate it, and they also expressed kind of tacking on to what Cynthia said about beautification on that end. You know, I know we're not gonna be putting in flagpoles, you know, with looking at, with widening 90 and things like that, but, you know, with that type of thing, and I guess it would be on hold until we discuss the other thing, but, you know, just of that nature, and there's a lot of extra rock and debris when you turn in that area. I mean, I know it seems true, but, you know, it does look better if it's spruced up, so I appreciate it.
We get working on it.
Thank you.
And when they start cutting out that way, they'll be picking up the trash too. It's just a lot more noticeable now because they haven't been cutting the grass. But, as they start cutting, they'll pick up before they cut. It'd be nice if we had some litter crews that we can get out there during this time to get it up. We were talking about that this week on Highway 90. It's just as bad on both sides. But, all right, Alderman Hinton.
Yes, first thing, I do have a motion to allow the Thornton family to reserve the pavilion at Fort Paul on March 22nd, 2026 for a celebration of life of their daughter at no cost to the city. They lost their daughter, and it's a memorial, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion by Alderman Hinton, second by Alderman Pfeiffer. All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all the city staff for y'all's continued good work. I'll make things run very smooth. There is one thing for the planning department. I would like to sit down and kind of look at a planning analysis for the citywide, just basically where we're at, what we've got going on, and kind of getting some data put together. So when you got some time, I'd like to do that. Other than that, that's all I have.
That's it. Well, I'd like to follow up by thanking all involved with the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Chief, I want to thank y'all for sure. Y'all really stepped up. Looked like we weren't going to have enough officers, and you reached out. We ended up, seemed like plenty. So everybody stepped up and helped out. But thanks for the hard work. Alan, I really want to stress how thankful I am that y'all got right after it after the parade. And I know everybody noticed those barricades were picked up that day, and it really made a difference. And I hope we can continue that moving forward with all the events and the parades. Let's get it up as soon as we can. Thank you, and the street sweeper performed well this week.
Is it up and going and?
It worked out well. So, but thank you very much to everybody involved. And that's all I got. Do we have executive session items or? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
We got a motion to adjourn by Alderman Blackman, second by Alderman Wade. All in favor?
All right.
We adjourn till April 7th.